Hey yo everyone, it's the man Punt, and welcome back to another video. A video I didn't think I'd be making for a long time, but one weekend I was like, hey, I'm gonna binge me some JoJo, and I managed to finish part 3. So before I even get the chance to make my anime review of JoJo, I'm making a part 3 video, which is gonna throw everything out of whack, but at this point I don't care. But anyway, this is a JoJo Part 3 stands tier list, and I really like Part 3. It's not my favorite part, as why you've seen Diamond is Unbreakable. I can say definitely it's better than Stars Crusaders in my eyes, personally, but I still really enjoyed Part 3. And since this is my first stand video, I guess I should go over what stands are. So, after part 2 in JoJo, they decided to essentially make common known voice. Sometimes Joseph uses it when using Hermit Purple, his stand, when we'll get to that in this video, hopefully. Assuming I don't have to split this up into 2 parts. I just... You know what? It's basically a spiritual manifestation of your fighting spirit. But anyway, let's get to the videos. Also, partial warning, I'm probably going to spoil a bit about Stardust Crusaders. So if you haven't seen part 3 of JoJo, do not watch this video. Trust me. By the way, when I'm going through this tier list, I am looking only at the stands. There are a few stand users, which I like, but I'm only looking at the stands themselves, their abilities, so on and so forth. And one thing I'd like to mention, I'm saving F tier for the stands that you really can't defend yourself with, and S for my absolute favorites. Starting off with one of those absolute favorites, we have Anubis. Anubis's power, well, the stand is pretty much a sword, which some may find to be a little lame. It's very much like Polnareff's Silver Chariot, except it's just the sword and not a knight in armor. But here's the thing, it can possess people. So once you're able to get your hand on the sword, you will be possessed by Anubis. And even then, Anubis can use your stand. So just like in the episode, Polnareff accidentally picked up Anubis' sword, and Jotaro had to fight both Polnareff and Anubis. And I think that's actually a really cool idea. And Anubis, yes, in terms of design, he was actually one of the few Egyptian god stands that I actually knew. Why am I saying one of the few? It was the only one I knew. It's the only Egyptian gods I know of, other than Anubis and the ones referenced Stars Crusaders, but even I only know their names. Are I don't... Actually, are Slifer, Obelisk, and Ra even Egyptian gods? Are they? I don't know. I'll have to double check that sometime. Anyway, next stand. I remember that one of the Derby stand is a Tum. I can't remember the other one's name though. There will be text on screen correcting me if I'm wrong, because I do want to get all the correct names of the stands down. But since you can't really defend yourself near the Derby stands, and they essentially do the same thing, they're both going to end up going in F once we get to the other Derby Brothers stand. Though I do like the user as he plays video games. But since I'm looking only at the stand, I can't really take that into account. Alright, next up we have Bassett or Bassett. I can't remember which is the official pronunciation. Where basically it's if you touch Bassett, you essentially become a living magnet. Which, while that is cool, you try not to be a complete idiot, and since Bassett's an object stand, you can't really defend yourself. Yes, Anubis, well yes, is an object stand. A sword is a very offensive object, and you take control of the person. So yeah, once again, F. Now we have another one of my favorites. Here we have Cream. Sorry about the cut there, but Cream, whose user is named Vanilla Ice. And one tiny complaint about JoJo's sub is that they use the English names, and while most of the time it's fine, the only time I noticed it really was Cool Ice. But yeah, they called him Cool Ice, but he's really Vanilla Ice, who is I'm glad that we got to defeat Vanilla Ice, considering he's a pretty bad rapper. But music opinions aside, Cream, I really like. Essentially, its power is void. Inside it is another dimension, which its user, Vanilla Ice, can hide in, and it can send other people into it, essentially killing them, considering it's a complete void of darkness. Plus, I really like Cream's design. Now, kind of conflicted. I really like Dark Blue Moon, but at the same time, it's just not that great. In terms of offense and speed, I'd say it's pretty good. But the thing is, it's really only great in the water, which most of the time you're not going to be in. And yes, if I am grading these stanzas, I'm grading them if I had them, not if the user was using them. Because, of course, they're going to know everything about the stand, and, well, they're in a fictional world. I'm going to think about if I had these stands in real life. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to put it in... I'll be generous and put it in C. Now, another one of my favorites. Death 13. Oh, and if you're wondering why I didn't really go over Dark Blue Moon's powers, it really only... It's essentially just a fighter, but it does good in water. Some of the earlier stands were kinda too on the nose with their powers. Oh, jeez. Let me move it. Death 13, another one of my favorites. So basically, Death 13 is, for the lack of a better term, Freddy Krueger. Where he will, if you fall asleep and the stand user traps you in that, can trap you in a dream world. And only, plus, you won't naturally wake up. So it can't be like, oh, it's about to kill you and wake up. Someone has to be with you and be like, hey dude, wake up. For you to actually escape. And even then, if you're in a group and you're with the person, you find out, if you're afraid, oh no, they're gonna get me because my stand's only really strong in the dream world. Guess what? They get mind wiped. The only reason they were able to take down Death 13 is because Kakuin's a freaking genius. So again, sorry about the cut, but now we're moving on to one of the more pathetic stands. Ebony Devil. It's one of the stands I remember the least. I'm gonna put him in D because he's so below average. By the way, essentially, here's what I'd name these. Can't defend yourself, below average, average, good. Wait, no, above average, good, favorites. But anyway, Bonnie Devil, basically, if somehow they use, from my memory at least, because, like I said, it's one of the most forgettable stands. If in some way the user gets a grudge on you, then, it can possess a doll, and it makes it, and the grudge makes it stronger. It's a very weird stand. Next up, we have the Emperor, who is just a gun. It's not one of my favorites, but he's just a really overpowered gun. Unlike another stand I've heard of, which appears in a later part. It's a gun that only has 6 bullets. The Emperor has unlimited shots, and the bullets are part of the stand. So, for example, if someone was going to intercept the bullet, you could essentially manipulate it. Plus, even though I'm trying not to mention stand users, as I want to grade the stands, Whole Horse is easily the best reoccurring villain in all of Stardust Crusaders. And here we have another case of you can't really defend yourself with this one. and that would be the Empress. Unlike the Emperor, who's really powerful, the Empress is kinda weird. Apparently, its user can place it on your body. It will continue to grow and partially have control of your body. And when thinking about it, it's just not that great. Plus, it's an F because you can't really defend yourself with it. If someone was gonna punch you, you couldn't just pull out a stand like Dark Bloom Lunar or Cream that since they're arguably humanoid, it could essentially offer it as a shield. And actually have powers to fight back. The Empress really doesn't though. Next up, we have the Hanged Man. Who, those who did heed my spoiler warning and decided to watch this video anyway. Wait, no. Those of you who heed my spoiler, those of you who have actually seen Stars Crusaders will find it fitting how Emperor and the Hanged Man are the first two in the A slot. There. As the Hangman's power, I really like its power and design, but you could argue that it belongs in F since you can't really defend yourself with it, but it's one of those cases where even though you can't really defend yourself with it, its powers essentially negate that, so I'm gonna make an exception. What are the Hanged Man's powers, though? The Hanged Man's powers are, it can travel from reflections. Meaning, stuff like mirrors, any form of glass, people's eyes, the whole 9 yards. However, the reason it's not in my all-time favorites is it can only exist in those mirrors and a tiny flash in between. So you can't really call it back to defend yourself if someone's running at you. Alright, sorry about the cut once again. Next, we're going back to the Egyptian gods. Geb. Unlike most people, I'm going to put Geb in above average, aka B. Because, well, it's quite strong, yes. And it's quite tactful. But part of that has to do with the user. The user was completely blind. So they could essentially use their stand, which is just a hand of water, which to essentially use as secondary eyes. And while I think it could still be dangerous if you could see, part of why Geb was such a dangerous stand was because Duel was blind. Therefore, as opposed to playing into good, it's gonna be above average. We have our first case of a main character stand. By that I mean they were part of the main group. Hermit Purple, which belonged to Joseph Joestar. What is Joseph's, Hermit Purple's, ability? Humming conduction and spirit photography. Basically, he can destroy a camera or a TV to display an image of a certain person, stand, or something along those lines. However, it's pretty much crap in a fight, with the exceptions of the Empress and Basset, which are both stands where you can't really defend yourself. Though I do like Joseph Joestar, but like I said, Grandy's on the stands, not the users. Making our way back to the average section, another main character stand, Hierophant Green. Nobody can deflect the Emerald Splash. Hierophant Green is of Noriaki. I believe I'm spelling that right. I always couldn't remember exactly how to pronounce his first name. Kakuin, who at first was my favorite character, but we'll get to who my favorite character is in a bit. It's Hierophant Green's abilities are long range with its tendrils, and it can use a move called the Emerald Splash, which essentially is just throwing emeralds everywhere. Which, when it was listed under abilities, I thought it was just a technique, not a full-on ability, but yeah, you learn something new every day. Yeah. On to Hierophant Green. While it does have a few tactful situations its tendrils were used in, the main problem and why it's in below, well, not below average, but average, its Emerald Splash barely hits anything. The first, I can only recall 3 times Emerald Splash ever hit anything. The first time that I can remember was when it first hit Star Platinum, and that was the first time it was ever used. When it hit the Lovers once, which is, as stated by the user, the weakest stand. And a clock. Alright, next up, we're going to average the High Priestess. I can basically morph into anything. So why is it, well, it's not a very combat-oriented stand. And to be honest, it's a little biased, but since these are opinions, I I'll admit, I'm just not the biggest fan of the design. And it's one of those cases where I barely get to see the user. But, yeah, again, looking at stands, not users. Looking at stand users is another day. Next up, we have Horus. Actually, I'll keep it in good. I was considering putting in A, but I decided against it. What am I saying? I was considering putting it in S, but I decided against it. Anyway, Horus. It is another element stand. It is ice. However, unlike Dark Blue Moon, Horus is actually really freaking good. It's ice. It shoots icicles. Plus, its user's a hawk. It's just really freaking cool. No, without talking about it, I'm just gonna move it up to S. And sorry about the cut there. Oh no, I really like it. It's kinda hard to explain, but it's just awesome. Judgment. Hello, below average tier. Judgment is a case where, yes, you could probably use it to defend yourself, but its power cancels that out. What is its power? Wish granting. If you can't stumble upon Judgment, it gives you 3 wishes, which leads to a rather memeable line in the JoJo community. Hail to you! But even then, its wishes are kinda fake. Sometimes, I guess. Anyway, up to another good stand. The stand of justice. Justice. What to say about justice? Basically, its power is if someone has a wound of any kind, really, that is causing them to lose blood there, Justice can send wind through that wound and essentially make you its puppet. Which I think is a really stinking cool power. And it can even, in some cases, nullify other stands. Attacks against it. Not exactly nullify other stands, but you get what it was going for. It's just really cool, though. I wouldn't say gush about like Horus enough to make it an S tier. I forget your name, so there will be text on the screen telling you this guy's name. But basically, it's yet again another case of you can't really defend yourself with this. As all it does is change what you look like. There's no combat to it at all. It's... sorry about that. Like, just really not that great of a stand. And I'm hoping that we can get this tier list smash out next time, because we're 30 minutes in, and I think that's a pretty good stopping point for now. So next time, hopefully, I'll see you once again here to give you the rest of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stars Crusaders Stands tier list. See you guys then.